Welcome to Keepin' It Real, where we feature entrepreneurs who are passionate about their business and have participated in our guest blog, shareyourstories.online. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Shelly Elsliger, who is a speaker, coach, and social influencer on LinkedIn. She's also a member of the Forbes Coaches Council and is the co-author of the book Unstoppable. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You know, Shelly, I've been so thrilled to have you as part of our series because, we are all having to become so connected on social media. And you and I actually met first on social media through LinkedIn.
We did.
So tell us a little bit about your light bulb moment, which sort of gave you a segue into the LinkedIn community.
My light bulb moment actually happened 10 years ago. I was at a conference hoping to kind of increase my LinkedIn knowledge and use LinkedIn to help university students to get ahead. I was already thinking that, down the road, the resume would kind of end up taking a back seat because it's a little bit limited in how you can, showcase your personal and professional brand. So I was at this conference and, like many people, there was this kind of lull where the conference was a little bit boring. So I decided to make my way to the local Starbucks and saw somebody there from LinkedIn, and he had, this red jacket on with a blue LinkedIn written on the side. And I was curious more about that, like why didn't he have a blue jacket? But anyway, he actually ordered a latte, and I just went over and paid for him, and we ended up both taking a seat and having a long conversation. And I ended up talking to him about my how I wanted to see LinkedIn to how I wanted to use LinkedIn to empower people, empower students, let them tell their stories. And it started off with that, but then I ended up telling him about LinkedIn and high heels and empowering women. And I think we went on for 2 hours. There were a lot more than one latte that we had that day. And after that, he ended up introducing me to some key people at LinkedIn, and he became my mentor. And to this day, actually, he's no longer at LinkedIn, but ended up introducing me to a lot of key people. And, the rest is history. I work continuously with LinkedIn, whether it's on the LinkedIn Learning platform or just being part in a lot of the initiatives that they do. So I consider myself really lucky. And since that time, I have a lot of LinkedIn lattes, and I pay a lot of things forward because I learned a lot from just that whole, just doing something out of the kindness of your heart and having so much come back to you. And I really didn't expect that. It was like an instantaneous moment.
So, I know you have a number of programs and initiatives that you sponsor or you're behind on LinkedIn. Tell us a little bit about the LinkedIn in Heels initiative, because, I really love that logo. It's so fantastic. And we're all about trying to empower each other, right? So tell us a little bit about how that initiative came to be.
So that's a story in itself, because I happened to be at an event with Lean in Canada. So I tend to kind of support them as much as I can because it's all about supporting women. And there were some keynotes up on the, sharing their stories about how they got to where they got. And I was really fascinated by a lawyer that was there, and she was just talking about her, she had this presence. And anyway, at one point I saw that she went to the bathroom, and I said, "This is your moment, Shelly, do it." So I didn't have to go to the bathroom, but I decided that I would go to the bathroom strategically and just put myself
in her presence
in the right place. So I went, I heard the door open up, coming out. So I did the same thing, and we ended up being in that space together. And I had my little tag where it said LinkedIn trainer and influencer, and she thought that was kind of cool. And we ended up talking about it, and she said, I have so much imposter syndrome around LinkedIn and around transferring who I am in person to this online platform. And I thought it really struck me, like that conversation, it just hit me, because I realized that here's a here's a woman who walks into a space and she has so much presence, and she's a relationship builder, and she's just like, I was just taken back when she said that she doesn't use LinkedIn because she has imposter syndrome, meaning that honestly on LinkedIn she just does not feel that she can portray herself really well, this and in the same manner she can offline. So I thought, I went home and all of this conversation that I had with her was mulling in my head, and I thought, wow, imposter syndrome is like, she's experiencing imposter syndrome. So then I decided that it just came to me, LinkedIn and high heels. And it's not about the heels, it's just about rising up and telling your story online. So that's how it all came about, from that exact moment. And now it's one of it. I guess it's my signature workshop. A lot of people know me for the LinkedIn and High Heels Manifesto, and just around how we can tell our stories and own that space as women.
You mentioned a really good point about LinkedIn and folks having a great deal of difficulty being able to translate their true personality online. And I think more now than ever, we're all using social platforms to try to connect with our customers and prospects. So if you were going to give someone one piece of advice on what they could include in their LinkedIn profile that would help translate some of that personality, what kind of advice would you give to those folks?
So a lot of people don't use their headline effectively, and I'm so big on headlines and taglines, and I call them branding statements. It's the line that's underneath your profile, and we have 120 characters, a little bit more if we go to our iPhones and use our iPhones. We might catch a break and be able to get a few more characters in there. But that headline follows us. So it's really about having something catchy, but yet using some really key words. It's almost like, the art of the headline. So we really have to work on it and think about, what do we offer to people? So instead of just using a title, which is the default, we have to think about, how can we transform that title into an art? How can we effectively use those characters to say what we do, how we do it, and who we do it for? And if it's catchy enough and it follows you, it can make the difference between somebody deciding to connect with you or not. It can also make the difference in whether that relationship could or will be built upon. So really important. And I think there's a confidence. There's something around confidence. When you have a strong headline, it's almost like you know yourself. You're aware of what you have to offer, and you're putting it out there first thing in your story, and you're telling people, this is what I have, and if you want to find out more about me, read on. And it can lead to people hitting that more button.
Right.
And when the more people that hit the more button, the more your algorithm
We'll go up.
clicks in and keys into LinkedIn to say, I have some good stuff going on here, and people want to know more about it. So the headline is truly, truly important. And I just will mention one more thing, that it's also the first part of the search algorithm. So when people are searching for you, the keywords that you have in the headline and tagline will make a difference in how you're being found in search results. So a key area overall, and a very
headline. Yeah, that's really great advice, because, I struggle as an individual on LinkedIn with that all the time. So, I change it every once in a while, because I feel that, we're speaking to different audiences at different times. So that's really great advice, Shelly. Just before we get to talking about your 3 words of advice, I just wanted to briefly give you an opportunity to talk about your new initiative, which is Decide to Be Kind. Because, I really think that it's to your, you made some really powerful statements when we were speaking. We both believe in paying it forward. You mentioned paying it forward. You talked about the opportunity for us to sort of reach out, get outside of our comfort zone, and just put ourselves out there with people that we may not know. So tell us a little bit about this new initiative, because I really think that if we all did one kind thing for someone that we may not even know, wouldn't it really be a wonderful place?
Yeah, so the Decide to Be Kind campaign is something very special to me. It started January 1st, 2020, and it came after a year of me being a CSI, a LinkedIn CSI. Don't you love that?
Oh, that sounds so
Anyway,
cool.
so for a year, I was checking in and finding out and listening to stories about people being bullied on LinkedIn. And the reason that all came about was because some people had reached out to me just in terms of a friend to talk to me about their experience being in engagement pods. And engagement pods are different than having like people come together to be support one another. An engagement pod is when somebody starts a pod internally through the direct messaging system, and they have people specifically align with them to kind of outwit the algorithm of LinkedIn. So to have people there that are, if somebody does a post, if that person, that key person that's building the pod, does a post, they expect you to be on there and supporting them and sharing. And so there's a lot of pressure around pods. I'm not involved in any pods, because what I've seen happen in pods is that once you don't conform to what is being asked, you can be kicked out, you can be ousted. If you don't pay up, some actually ask for money to support. And it can be quite a terrible
Demanding, it
thing
sounds.
to get into.
Yeah.
And it's caused some people actually to leave the platform. So that's one area that really, really bothered me, because there were some kind people that were just on there looking for community and just really needed to get involved. But like often we say, they got involved with the wrong people,
Right.
got involved with the wrong crowds.
Yep.
And hearing their stories just affected me, because that's just one area. There's the public, humiliation and name calling. I mean, this happens all the time, but there are different people being affected by bullying on LinkedIn. And as somebody who was bullied as a child and lost her voice, when I got my voice back, I just decided that LinkedIn is a platform that I embrace, that I have gotten so much from. And I pay that forward to students, to job seekers, to executives, to CEOs, to women. And I just said to myself, everybody has a space on LinkedIn to tell their story. And I am going to do what I can to just make this like to bring this awareness to life, to say, just because LinkedIn is a professional platform doesn't mean that bullying doesn't happen. So I decided, how can I unite everybody? So I came up with the Decide to Be Kind wristband, which you have won. And I'm really happy about that, because you're kind and you're amazing.
Thank you.
So I uh, I started to just, first of all, I reached out to 50 people that I knew were just genuinely kind. I asked them for their support. They said for sure, and that's how it started. And now I'm close to 900 wristbands that have gone out all over the world, from Syria to Australia to Israel. And just to say that it's the wristband that unites us. So once we get the wristband, we can do a post, and then we spread the word. So the wristband is the
The
unification.
visual.
It says we're all on this Decide to Be Kind movement. We will not accept bullying of any kind. We will report it. We will stick together, and kindness is key. And so it's just about sticking together and putting up our wristbands and having them available, and just saying that we will not accept bullying of any kind, and that LinkedIn will remain a safe
Safe
and
place.
positive place to for the next generation, not just for us, but for the
For
people that
everyone.
are going to be using LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is no longer an option, it's a must.
Yes, absolutely. And that really segues really well into your 3 words of advice, Shelley, which are build relationships first, because I think, as we all know, people buy from us because of the relationships that we establish. We make connections with people because of the energy and the relationships that we want to build. So tell us why those 3 words were really important to you.
So I do a lot of speaking on social reciprocity because for me, that is key. So when you master the art of social reciprocity, you master the art of putting yourself in a place that will allow you to have success and reach your goals. We often get on LinkedIn and it's all about me, and what can I get out of it? And we forget about other people. That's why salespeople struggle with LinkedIn, because it's all about sales. And when we become too salesy, or when we don't think about what other people are going through, and we don't have empathy, and we don't think about how we can help other people, we don't earn trust very quickly. So my whole idea is that when we invest and master the art of social reciprocity, we end up building trust. And trust is the key to having a really strong community on LinkedIn. So if we have a strong community, we can power through everything, and we will always have those people. I often hear people say, have your own board of directors. Well, have your own board of directors on LinkedIn. And the cool thing about having one on LinkedIn is that it can be as big as you want it to be,
Right.
And made up of the people you want it to be made up of.
Right.
So social reciprocity is key, and that's why relationships matter, and relationships will be your key to getting where you want to go and how you want to navigate this platform.
Well, I really want to thank you, Shelley. You've given us some really wonderful nuggets of information and some insight into not only the platform of LinkedIn, but who you are as an individual. And to our listening and viewing audience, I hope you really enjoyed our segment today, where we introduced you to the person behind the logo in another edition of Keeping It Real. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.